Smoke fills the sky. The cockpit rattles like it's coming apart. Tracer fire streaks past the wings, red, white, and orange lines tearing up towards him. Oi Kenji grips the control stick with both hands as he forces his Zero into a steep dive. Below him, growing larger every second, is the flat, unmistakable deck of an American aircraft carrier. He has one job: hit the ship. He has one chance, and he has only seconds left to live. His shoulder burns. Something hit him earlier. Maybe shrapnel, maybe a bullet, but he ignores it. The nose drops. The engine screams. The airframe shakes violently, as if trying to tear itself free. But before this moment, before the smoke and the flak and the desperate dive, there were rituals. There were final meals. There were letters home. And there was a very young man trying to understand the meaning of a life he already knew would end today. Hours earlier, Oi Kenji tied on a white hachimaki headband rooted in samurai tradition. He tucked a 1,000-stitch belt around his waist, hand-sewn by loved ones, meant to bring protection on a mission no one returned from. Some pilots even carried katanas, not for combat, but as a symbolic bridge to Japan's warrior past. Before dawn, Oi and other pilots sat together for one last cup of sake and a final meal of simple rice. Then he climbed into his cockpit, a cockpit he had been trained to take off from, but not to land. That's right, kamikaze training rarely included landing. What was the point? Fuel, time, and equipment were all too scarce. You learned to lift up into the air, fly straight, and dive, and that was enough. Now, mid-dive, Oi's plane is more of a weapon than an aircraft. A 550-pound bomb is strapped underneath the fuselage. He's no longer a fighter pilot. He is the guidance system for a flying explosive. Around him, explosions pop like black flowers in the sky. American gunners fire every weapon they have, 20 millimeters, 40 millimeters, and even massive 5-inch guns, meant for naval combat.
Their shells are fitted with V-fuses, tiny detectors that explode when close to a plane. They don't need a direct hit, just proximity. And today, there's no shortage of explosions. Planes around him fall from the sky. Men he just shared rice and sake with, spiraling into the ocean long before reaching their targets. Yet, he continues the dive. But how did a 21-year-old university graduate end up here, in the middle of the Pacific, flying straight into a wall of gunfire, with no intention of coming back? To understand that, we pull back from the smoke, from the flak, from the carrier rising in his windshield, and return to where this all began. But before we do, stories like Aoki's remind us how harsh history can be. And if you want to experience history from a different angle, one driven by strategy, heroes, and creativity, today's sponsor, Heroes of History, lets you do exactly that. Heroes of History is a strategic city-building and hero collection game where icons like Einstein, Cleopatra, and Hercules team up across a time-blending storyline. You grow your city, upgrade your heroes, and jump into real-time battles in both solo and multiplayer modes. We've been playing it, and it's surprisingly addictive. One upgrade leads to another, your heroes get stronger, and suddenly you're planning your next battle lineup because you gotta see what they can do. And right now, the winter event is live until December 26th, so it's a great time to start. Download Heroes of History using our link in the pinned comment or description, and enter the promo code SIMPLEHISTORY to unlock your first 5-star hero. You'll also see a QR code on screen, and you can scan to jump straight in, or you can download using the link in the description. Thanks, Heroes of History, for sponsoring this video. Japan is collapsing. Years of war have drained its strength. The mighty Imperial Navy is now scattered across the bottom of the ocean.
Its air force is a shadow of what it was. The Americans are pushing forward island by island. Now, the battle for Okinawa is underway, and the home islands feel suddenly, terrifyingly close to invasion. In this moment of desperation, Japan turns to a new weapon, the Special Attack Units. History remembers them by another name, Kamikaze. Aoki Kenji, like many young men of his generation, grew up surrounded by strict discipline and a deep cultural reverence for the emperor. Loyalty wasn't just expected, It was taught as the highest form of virtue. Sacrifice for the nation was seen as honorable, glorious even. When Aoki volunteers, he believes he's doing the right thing, the honorable thing, and he believes his death might help Japan survive a little longer. Before joining the mission, Aoki reflects on a 5-point oath he once swore. Loyalty is your obligation. Propriety is your way of life. You must esteem military valor. You must prize righteousness. You must live simply. He hopes he lived up to them. He writes his parents a final letter. He tells them not to worry. He tells them he's fulfilling his duty. He tells them they should be proud, and they probably will be. Japan's culture, steeped in the traditions of the samurai, taught that dying with honor was preferable to living with shame. Throughout the war, American soldiers faced banzai charges, last desperate rushes where survival was never the goal. The Kamikaze would become the ultimate banzai attack. Aoki's aircraft for this one-way mission is the Mitsubishi A6M0. Once the jewel of Japanese aviation, by now it's outdated and badly outmatched by American Hellcats and Corsairs. Japan has so few planes left that even damaged old models or training aircraft are used as kamikaze tools. Some planes are even built specifically for suicide missions. The most famous is the Oka, the cherry blossom, a rocket-powered, human-guided bomb. Aoki has heard about them but never seen one, something he considers a small blessing.
And not every kamikaze pilot is as willing as Aoki appears to be. All are technically volunteers, but some are coerced by subtle pressure by classmates, commanders, or the fear of shame. Aoki has overheard quiet doubts among a few pilots, whispered only when they thought no one was listening. On the runway, when one plane refuses to start, Aoki wonders just for a moment whether it's a mechanical failure or fear. But there's no time to dwell. The ground crew raises their arms in salute as Aoki's squadron lifts off into the early light. As Japan falls away behind him, he imagines cherry blossoms, beautiful, temporary, gone with the wind, just like him. The squadron turns south towards Okinawa. Their goal is simple: destroy American ships and raise the cost of invasion so high that the United States might ask for peace. Aoki hopes to hit a carrier. He even wrote that dream into his final letter home. A carrier is the heart of the American fleet. Strike that, and maybe, just maybe, Japan can slow the inevitable. They scan the ocean for what seems an eternity, watching for any sign of the enemy. And then, there, a thin white trail across the waves, a ship's wake. The formation shifts to follow it. But the Americans aren't surprised. They faced kamikaze since October 1944. The shock of the first attacks has faded. Now they have a system, 3 defensive rings. The outer ring, the combat air patrol, fighters circling high above. The middle ring, destroyers and picket ships, fast and radar.
The inner ring, the cruisers, battleships, and carriers, the core of the fleet. The ship Aoki sees first is one of these picket destroyers. It fires immediately. Flak bursts appear around him as the squadron presses forward. He ignores the ship. His target is beyond it. He must reach the carrier. The destroyer radios their position. Guns across the battlefield awaken. Shells burst in every direction. Aoki's plane is hit again. His shoulder throbs, but he forces the Zero onward. He breaks through the first ring, then the second, and in the distance he finally sees it, the flat gray deck of an American aircraft carrier. This is his moment. The sky becomes a storm of metal. Tracers burn upwards, shells detonate around him, smoke fills the air. For a heartbeat, the carrier's deck fills his entire vision. He pushes the stick forward. The Zero plunges. A final thought flickers through his mind. His family, his home, the Emperor. And then everything goes black. Aoki Kenji becomes one of nearly 4,000 kamikaze pilots who die in the final months of the war.
Their attacks kill thousands of American soldiers, including many at Okinawa, the deadliest battle the U.S. Navy would ever fight. Their sacrifice prolongs the war, but cannot change its outcome. Japan will not fall to invasion. Something far more devastating will stop the war instead. And the story of Aoki Kenji, his final flight, his final dive, and his final choice, remains one of the most haunting examples of how far nations will go when pushed to the edge, and how far young men will go when taught that